Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football. Joining you live on YouTube, I'm Brooke Kirchhoffer. He's Nick Underhill and Mike Triplett breaking down Giants at Saints. Tommy DeVito is on a roll over there in New York on a 3-game win streak. They're going to be coming into New Orleans. Both teams, look, when you look at their records, doesn't necessarily reflect the state of these teams right now. We'll see what happens. The Saints will close out their long home stretch this weekend, Sunday, against the Giants, and they're on a short week and head to L.A. on Thursday. Going to be a good one.
Yeah, we'll see if it's going to be a good one. That's to be determined. The Saints have had a lot of good ones so far this season, but the people that never have bad ones is Toro Hospital. They'll get you right if you need to get right. So go check them out. The LCMC Network, presented by PJ's Coffee. And if you need a new car, make sure you check out my guy, Matt Bowers Dealerships all over the region. Best car dealer you'll find. He'll get you the best prices. That's an outstanding holiday gift. So go check them out if you need some new wheels. And if you need some relaxation this holiday season, you want to get a good gift, have a nice little couples thing, whatever you need to do, go check out Woodhouse Day Spa. They'll get you a massage, get you a facial, get you relaxed, and get you rejuvenated for this holiday season. All right, let's hit these ads. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Are you looking for the perfect engagement ring? Look no further than Friend & Company Fine Jewelers' new engagement salon. This new area houses a wide selection of engagement rings to choose from in all cuts, sizes, and colors. Their experienced staff offer 5-star customer care to help you find the perfect ring to express your love. Visit their new engagement salon today. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, the perfect ring for the perfect moment and also for the perfect person. 7713 Maple Street between Adams and Burdett Street. 504-866-5433. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Check them out at friendandcompany.com. Moe's Barbecue is located in Metairie. They have your game day needs taken care of. Whether you're tailgating or watching the Black and Gold or LSU at home with friends, Moe's has you covered. Order pulled pork, wings, ribs, sides, and more. Come in with the family for lunch and dinner, as our kids' meals will please even the pickiest of eaters. Tailgating, parties at home, lunch and dinner, Moe's Barbecue will handle it all. Moe's Original Barbecue, 1101 North Causeway Boulevard between 48th and 49th Street in Metairie. Call 504-407-5333 for your catering order today. 504-407-5333. Moe's Original Barbecue in Metairie. The holidays are a time for giving, and what better gift than the gift of relaxation? With a gift card to Woodhouse Day Spa, your loved ones can choose from a wide range of services to help them de-stress and rejuvenate. Visit their New Orleans, Metairie, Mandeville, Slidell, and Baton Rouge locations today, or visit their website to purchase a gift card and give the gift of relaxation this holiday season. Woodhouse Day Spa, where relaxation is a gift. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show.
Let's get into our lead topic presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers is home to a new engagement salon where they have a wide selection of engagement rings. And while you're there, with it being the holiday season, ask them about their collection of fleur-de-lis earrings and necklace. Beautiful set for somebody this holiday season. I have them on now, and they are specially priced for our NOF audience. All right. Let's get into the lead topic. The head coach was willing to acknowledge, as well as a lot of the players in the locker room, that the Saints could have been better in several areas on Sunday. One of them, though, after looking at film, the offensive line. Did that group take a step back in week 14?
It kind of depends on how you want to look at it. They didn't give up a ton of pressure. There was only 9 plays that I counted where there was pressure allowed. The problem is of those 9 plays, like seven of them it was just kind of like instant, massive breaks. So there wasn't a lot of time back there against the pressure. It was just kind of like the O-line shattered a handful of times in devastating fashion. I don't think there was a ton Derek Carr could have done on a lot of them. There were 2 really bad plays that I thought from him within those. One was the intentional grounding. There's another one where he was kind of, just a little bit too sped up a little bit. But overall, like, I thought he actually handled it kind of decently in this game. but there wasn't a lot of opportunity for him to do anything else. So it was kind of like he couldn't stand in there and try to make a throw. So it was kind of hard to screw up in those situations, but he got rid of the ball. And, but yeah, I think the idea that the whole game was affected by like this massive amount of pressure, I think that's a massive misconception of how this game was played.
I'm guilty of being one of the misconceptions. It felt like a bad
well, it's because all of them were intense.
So bad. So intentional grounding, the sack heard around the world where he ends up yelling at the offensive lineman afterward. The one where he's pressured into throwing a pass in between Andrus Pete's numbers right in the chest. And then even when he rushed off under pressure, completed passes to Alvin Kamara for like -10 and -6 yards. It was just like, it was so dramatic when he was like rushing a throw. You mentioned the intentional grounding but yeah, the total number of times that didn't happen, which is a good thing. I was glad to hear that, because I would actually list pass protection as one area of this team that's gotten better from the first portion of the season to the second portion of the season. And if that had regressed, I would have been like, well, is there anything getting better? But so it's good to know they've continued.
I think you could
on
say
that.
it did regress, because it was massive breaks, massive breaks. It wasn't like when they gave it up, like they were giving up everything. Like it was crazy, kind of like how. So yeah, I mean, it was like so stark. Like you would think that like you saw these like 8 plays where it was just like absolutely terrible. So you're assuming there's got to be 10 others where there's like a little bit of a effect, but there wasn't. Like that was kind of the crazy thing.
I'll tell you what's
it.
even more disturbing. First of all, I thought the offensive line was run blocking for the most part well. There were a lot of zeros and negatives that ruined some momentum. But gosh, the beginning of the game, I think Alvin still averaged close to 5 yards a carry. I can't remember the exact number in my head, but. The other thing that is so disturbing about this game is it's another team that they describe, well, that team sits back and plays deep zone defense and makes you settle for underneath things and tries to frustrate you. That just seems to work against the Saints all the time. They get frustrated when the big plays aren't there for them.
Speaking of frustration, it was obvious there was some frustration between quarterback and center. We don't need to rehash that. But after film review, what did the tape say? We've been talking about the offensive line, but what did the tape say about the quarterback, Derek Carr?
As far as how he played, just overall, I mean, I think the numbers kind of tell the story. When you have 37 yards going into the fourth quarter, I don't think that you're executing very well. And, I don't think it was his best game by any means. I mean, like the number 37 yards is a very small number. Like it just wasn't a good game.
13 completions at that time.
Yeah, it wasn't a good game for the offense. So, it was bad. Look, they didn't have a lot of stuff down the field, but that's the problem with this team is that, he likes to take the shots down the field. I believe he's leading the league in throws down the field by like a significant amount. That's kind of where he's comfortable throwing it. I don't think he's very good over the middle of the field. I don't think he has timing like in that area of the field. I think a lot of stuff is out breaking because it allows him to kind of like float it up a little bit, and it doesn't have to be as timing based on those throws. Anything that's been timing based, I feel like has been just ripped out of the offense, or we've seen it done extremely poorly. And that was just a style of defense where, look, I mean, that's kind of how I would play the Saints, because if you're making them kind of play in that area, like they're not going to be very good. And, and then you start taking players out and it becomes even worse. But even with the players, it wasn't very good. So, yeah, I just think that they ran into a defense that plays a style that kind of limited him a lot. And you just kind of saw like how easy it kind of is to squeeze them out.
And very famously this season, another defense that played that style and frustrated the Saints was Tampa Bay, which even if the Saints get their season on track, going into Tampa Bay in Week 17 is going to be their most important matchup of the season. And that's a defense that does this well and limited them to a lot of checkdowns in that and settling for underneath throws. Wasn't that the game where Alvin had 10 catches for 37 yards or so? Was it the exact same number, or is 37 just stuck in my head?
So it was something like that. But speaking of the defense, we felt like they trended up in certain areas, but what continues to be a thorn in their side and something that we talk about week after week is not being able to stop the run. They gave up over 200 yards, which could really be a problem in week 15 when you've got a guy like Saquon Barkley, which thanks to Tommy DeVito, it's opening it up for Saquon Barkley. Do we think this is the week that the Saints maybe are able to stop a running back like Saquon Barkley, or is it going to be similar to the Falcons where Bijan Robinson just rips off these runs?
I don't think this will be the week. No, I don't think it'll be the one. Nothing's going to change it. It's December. So like, we're all like, when are they going to get better? When are they going to get better? Like, when's Derek Carr going to do more? Like, when's this going to, like, none of these things are going to change. Like, this is who they are. This is how they're going to play. They aren't a good run defense. They put too much on their linebackers. Like it's just not a good front. Like and one thing, like I was thinking about this the other day, like we kind of keep thinking like they have too much talent to be like this. They have too much talent to be like this. Do they? Do they have too much talent to be like this, or like are they
not in their run defense?
Yeah,
no.
I mean, like, but I mean, even just like overall, like, do they really have that many?
I don't think we're saying that because I've even said too, like Carl Granderson. I mean, yes, he deserves the praise, but I said this I think like 3 or 4 weeks ago that he could be a backup D-end on another team.
Yeah.
The only reason why he's a starting DN is he earned it in training camp, but he wasn't really going up against anybody else. Maybe he had Tano Passanio, but it was wide open for a backup to earn a starting role. And that's just been the deal with the Saints defensive line. And now you have Cam Jordan, who's injured too. And you had Pete Werner out for a game. He came back last week. But outside of Demario Davis and Pete Werner, like it is pretty rough on the defensive line and just that front seven of stopping the run.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, even just like across the board, like, I kind of felt that way about the offense. There's too many good players. And like, I think at the skill positions there are, but like, I don't know that they have good tight ends. I don't know that they have more than 2 good offensive linemen. I don't know if they have a good quarterback. I don't know, they got Marshawn, they got Tyron,
But they don't have Marshawn right now, and they don't have Marcus May right now, and
Yeah.
they definitely don't have enough talent when they're not fully healthy.
But even when healthy, though, like, it's just like kind of like maybe they aren't as good as, like, I don't know. It's just you kind of keep seeing it, and it's like, well, maybe this offensive line isn't very good. We know that the defensive line is terrible. Like, so yeah, I mean, but yeah, as far as the run defense goes, it's not going to get. This is going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah, and we've talked so much about the running quarterbacks, and here comes DeVito, who just ran for 71 yards in this last game. So that's not going to go away in this game. But I think that has masked the fact that whenever they have faced like legit running backs this year, like stud running backs, they haven't been great against them. They just haven't faced that many of them. They did a good job against Derrick Henry in week 1, but I think they got exposed a little by the Colts. Definitely got exposed by the Falcons. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to be another running back that has a lot of big yards. We were talking to Colin Saunders today, and he did point out this was true of the Colts game. This was true of last week that, they're not like getting 5 yards on every carry, but they're averaging 5 yards a carry because they get that 140-yard run every game. But either path to that average is bad.
I had to ask you too. I know that we were all talking about this, the Colin Saunders interview. Colin Saunders is like the truth teller on defense, and he even made a really good comment today with us.
Atlanta's running style got them going side to side, and he said they didn't react well to that because they want to be an attacking team. So I think other teams will continue to do that, including the Falcons, who are another team on the schedule. But Saquon Barkley this week, Kyron Williams, who's just exploding the next week. Tampa Bay's not a really good running team, but they're if they're going to do anything with the rest of the schedule, run defense is going to have to be a part of it. And I agree. At this stage of the season, I don't think it's just a blip on the radar. I think that's a weakness for this team.
All right, we're going to pause on the defensive talk. We're going to get to that in a little bit later. Let's move on to seeing Jimmy Graham more involved. That's our moment of the day, presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Can Jimmy Graham be the fix on third down and in the red zone? Now, he hasn't had this amount of catches that we can just point to it and say, yes, that's the fix. But we've seen enough where he had the third and 9, he had the big first down catch, touchdown in the red zone this past week. And then the week before that, he had a touchdown catch in the red zone as well. I mean, is this maybe somebody they need to just let out and be that guy that they need desperately right now on third down?
Yeah, third and shorts, red zones. I think he should be in there on all of them. I said it after the game. It's just kind of tough to fathom that he can be this effective every time we see him. And and again, I'm going to repeat this. I made the same exact point, but it just remains like stunning to me that DA gets asked about it. And he's like, "We're not going to talk about that decision." It's just like, what?
We're not going to go back into the past.
Well, my
We're
thing
not going
is,
to go talk about
are
our
you
sins
are
of the
you
past.
withholding information, or are you just not willing to say, yeah, we kind of messed up there,
Yeah,
and I
that's
don't want to
all.
hang people out to dry? That's all right. I mean, we're in a truth-telling business, and you can just say, hey, we made a mistake, and guess what? We'll move right on from it and say, all right, look, Saints realize they have something in Jimmy Graham. They made a mistake earlier in the season, but we can't even assume that because they're not saying anything.
The thing is though, like, I kind of get it, but it doesn't help anything because anything that he does now in that situation, like anytime Jimmy has success, like it does kind of look bad on their decision-making.
Absolutely.
In that. So it's just kind of like, they're in like a lose-lose, but you have to use them at this point.
Yeah.
You gotta not care. Like now that we've seen it, like the whole optics, whatever, that's over.
Yeah.
Like use him to get you into the playoffs because that's what you need to do to save your job. So yeah, he should be out there. He should be out there in all those situations for sure. No doubt about it.
My expectations are still low for him because, I mean, a team that's been talking about their red zone inabilities all year long had this guy available all the time.
Crazy.
There must have been something they weren't seeing. Obviously, the snap counts will be limited. And look, two different teams over the last 4 years, he's helped in limited fashion. But yes, third downs, red zone, two of the biggest problems you've had all season long. Michael Thomas on IR right now, another big body, big target.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
And Jimmy Graham, credit to what he was able to do when he was inactive. Derek Carr kind of gave him a nod today in his press conference.
Yeah, he said that even during those 4 weeks, he said, you don't know how someone's going to react when, that's eye-opening when the team tells you you're a healthy and active or whatever. And he said he was still out there bringing the same energy to practice, going on the practice team, putting on the red penny and giving him a look as the other team's tight end. And he said that speaks volumes about how he's handled this.
I need to get Jimmy Graham more involved and potentially Jamal Williams. I know they just signed a running back, but do you expect to see more of Williams this weekend?
Hopefully not, because hopefully Taysom Hill is healthy. We saw him back on the practice field this week. If, they were starting to give Taysom Hill the 10 carries, 13 carries, 9 carries a game that I think Taysom Hill should have in this offense. So if that happens, then you don't need double-digit carries for Jamal Williams. But yeah, I mean, that 1-2 punch was working pretty well. You want to see more running back touches because you want to see them protecting a lead and running the ball well. But I don't think they need more Jamal Williams in the sense of taking carries away from Alvin Kamara. But when Taysom Hill was gone, it was nice to have that other person that they could go to.
I'm still a little bit surprised by how the whole running back room has come together this year. Like, I don't know that there was ever, like, what if Kendre Miller was healthy the whole year? Like, how would it have been divided? Would he had been just kind of pushed out to the outside, kind of like the way Jamal Williams was? Like, it kind of felt like they were going to do this thing, and then they were just like, nope, we're going to keep going with Alvin the whole way we've been the last few years, and like, screw it, who cares? We're not going to figure out how to use them. It kind of felt, again, like it's the second year in a row where I feel like they had like a vision for their running back group, and it just kind of never, ever came together, never came to fruition. So I don't know what that's supposed to look like. I liked what we saw from Jamal last week. If there's a way to kind of, splash him in here and there, like I don't think it would hurt. I like the burst that he had, but it just doesn't feel like that. Again, it's December, so the picture isn't going to come together, and I don't think it ever did.
I think part of it, though, is a credit to Kamara. I mean, we were doing over-unders last week and looking back at how many times Kamara's gotten 25 touches. I'm sure their vision was not to be giving Alvin Kamara 25 touches every game, but he's been so effective with those touches that there's never been a game where I watch and I'm like, boy, they should ease back on how much they're using Alvin. I think he's probably been the most effective player on their offense for most of this season.
I wonder, too, what their run game will look like this week based on what I saw in practice today. I saw Alvin Kamara while the running backs were kind of off to the side doing their individual drills with Joel Thomas. You saw Alvin with the wide receivers and routes on air. That's why I think maybe you see more
they had
of Jamal Williams.
At least one snap in the game where they were on the field at the same time and Alvin was lined up in the slot. I don't know how many times they did it, but I definitely saw it at least once in the game.
I mean, if you're a defense, Nick and I were talking about this at practice, like that's a scary sight, seeing Alvin Kamara lined up outside. We'll see what happens there. Getting to what we did see in practice, several guys did not practice. The big one on the list, Chris Olave, he is not dealing with a flu. He is dealing with an ankle injury now. He did not practice today. We will hopefully get more clarity on that as the week goes on. Isaiah Foskey, Kendre Miller still out. Andres Pete was added to the practice report. He missed practice today with an illness. Those are the only 4 that were missing. Limited today included Taysom Hill, so he was back for the first time since dealing with that foot injury. He's still listed as foot/left hand. Cam Jordan limited with an ankle. Rasheed Shaheed back, which will be huge for the Saints if Chris Olave is out. Rasheed Shaheed was dealing with a thigh injury. He was limited in practice today. He said he should be good to go for Sunday. Ryan Ramczyk still on the list with a knee injury. He's technically veteran rest day along with Jimmy Graham. And then Jamal Williams was limited today with a groin injury. But no Chris Olave. It was like, man, you didn't have Taysom Hill or Rasheed Shaheed last week. You thought you were going to add them back with Chris Olave being up, but Chris Olave dealing with an ankle injury now is pretty surprising.
Yeah, him not practicing, we don't know how bad it is, but
we didn't see him in the building either.
Him not practicing is very bad. very
This
bad.
offense needs him.
Especially because Shaheed's coming back from that injury, and we haven't seen Shaheed get involved in the offense the way he kind of was last year. And again, going back to the point I made earlier, like some of that stuff over the middle, that's an area where I think he does well, catching the ball in space, having room to run. That's not a thing that this quarterback has done well this year. So everything is kind of down the field with him. If you take Olave out, you're without Mike. I don't know how else you're really kind of moving the ball right now. So him being injured is if Chris doesn't play like that probably flips my prediction from a win to a loss. Like I think it's that serious if he doesn't play in this game.
Especially the way he's been playing. I think he's been playing. He's looked like he looked at his best times last year. I mean, we're back to seeing him like confidently attack the ball, catching it. Kevin and I were talking on the members only about like that like 2-yard force field that it feels like it's around him. He gets so open. He runs his route so well. He's playing with so much confidence. Derek Carr. I asked Derek Carr. You know, he has mentioned several times that he thinks the offense has been better over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks. And I said, what do you specifically? What's the number one thing you think you're doing better in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, or that's clicking in for you? And the first thing he mentioned was finding that rhythm with Chris Olave, and he said he thinks that has really come along the last couple of weeks, and I agree. I mean, I think we're seeing that. Yeah. I think whatever it is that needed to get those two on the same page, I feel like that has been probably the best thing going for this offense, but in small bursts because of when Chris Olave got hurt in Atlanta and then was dealing with the flu and limited this last week. So that injury hurts.
It does, especially when you're going up against a defense, as we talked about in the dot today, that they're not going to be giving up a whole lot of the deep threat that we've seen Carr be able to utilize Chris Olave and Rasheed Shaheed, at least at the beginning of the season. We saw some of these splash plays. Is it expected that we'll see that? Are they going to dare this Giants team that has 12 takeaways in the last 3 weeks?
Going deep? I mean, they're going to try because that's just kind of the way Carr wants to attack the field. So I think for sure they're going to try. It's something that the Giants have done pretty well, though, is taking away some of that stuff. And then, look, they're really, really aggressive with how they blitz, too. And I think that's going to be kind of one of the factors here that could blow up the game. How do the Saints deal with that? And what we've seen from them so far is that like they don't deal with it very well. The quarterback doesn't deal with it very well. Guys on the offensive line have struggled with that. Their communication up front, I think, has been an issue. Getting the protection set, I think, has been an issue. It's just kind of a whole thing that's just kind of, if you're going to get beat by a subpar opponent, like if you can't stop the pass rush and then you have a quarterback who panics under pressure, like that's a very good way to lose this game when you're taking out the best wide receiver too. So I think this game might end up being a little bit tougher than maybe people expect. And I don't know that anybody should be sleeping on the Giants right now because they are playing well. But yeah, I mean, I think they're going to try to attack the deep part of the field, and I would not be surprised at all to see some turnovers in this game.
We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will hear from you, our NOF audience, with our question of the day. What's going on with Demario Davis, and is he still sipping on that fountain of youth? And also, has the defense found a new wrinkle? We'll talk about all of that next.
'Tis the season for Gumbo Combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Enjoy our hot gumbo, fries, and your choice of shrimp, catfish, soft-shell crab, or frog legs starting at $9.99. That's right, $9.99 at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
No loan payments for 90 days with local financing from Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union on your next auto, boat, RV, ATV, or motorcycle. That's right, no loan payments for 90 days when you close your loan by December 31st. Jefferson Financial offers easy-to-use online applications, fast decisions, and local personalized service. The financial products you want with the convenience you deserve. We are Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
At Turo, we were born for moments like this. From bringing new bundles of joy into the world to delivering what new mothers need to stay healthy. Born to keep hearts beating strong and to keep seniors active and healthy for years to come. Because at Turo, we deliver more than babies. From heart care to cancer care and newborns to seniors, at Turo, we're born to care.
Hey Brad, I got you something I think you're really gonna like for your gift this year.
What? Is this one of those Martin's exclusive bourbon bottles?
Picked it out just for you.
Maya, this is awesome. But I think you're gonna love the gift I got you a little bit more.
Wow, Mega Wine generic brand vodka. Brad, you shouldn't have.
Don't mention it.
No, Brad, You shouldn't have.
Look, small batch, smooth, soft spice.
I'll take a New Orleans Saints scratch up. Play New Orleans Saints from the lottery. Just scratch, fold, and punch your way to winnings. Punch your ticket with New Orleans Saints. Win up to $100,000. Enter our second chance drawings, giving you a season to smile.
Welcome back to the Turo Hospital studio. Time now for our money segment presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. Demario Davis is still proving that he's aging backwards. He did have a different impact Sunday that we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of this season, affecting the quarterback. Have they found something new with the way they're moving the defense around a little bit this past weekend?
Well, I think the way that they attacked overall, I think it was a little bit. Well, it wasn't new. It was a throwback to the old way that they used to do things. They had 20 pressures in this game, or 20 blitzes in this game, which was the highest total of the whole entire season. So that was something good to see. I think, kind of being a little bit more creative with it. Going against a young quarterback, you can kind of sell out a little bit more, take guys out of coverage, go after them, and kind of have it pay off a little bit. Demario was at the forefront of that. He had 3 quarterback pressures, a sack and a half. He looked really good in this game. He's second on the team in sacks right now, too, with 5.5, I think, overall, right behind Granderson, which is just kind of crazy.
That's an indictment on the defensive line.
An indictment on the defensive line for sure. I saw John Sigler today. He tweeted something out. Trey Hendrickson has 13.5 sacks overall, and the Saints defensive linemen combined only have 13. That's kind of a tough.
It's one of the greatest misses. That was like one of the cap casualties. I don't care. Figure out a way to keep somebody like Trey Hendrickson.
Wasn't even a cap casualty.
Oh, it wasn't.
It was just a decision. It was a decision
they didn't
overall.
Think he was worth that money.
It was just a decision they made. They didn't want to keep him. They treated him like a joke the whole entire season. Kind of called him a tryhard behind his back and all this stuff. And kind of thought,
look at him now.
Kind of thought the one season was a total outlier, and it ended up being like, no, this guy's like really good. And look, I'm not going to lie. The way they talked about him made me feel like, oh, okay.
Well, we saw it. I mean, he had 3 poor seasons here, and then everything came together the 4th year, and it was tough to buy in. It was probably like they were the team that was going to be the last one to buy in because they had seen it not work for so long. But yeah, exactly. I mean, their decision was similar to like what they did with David Onyemata and Caden Ellis, they liked Caden Ellis, but people Marcus Davenport, people they're like, I just don't see him in that price class, but he has absolutely proved them wrong.
Yeah. I still think it was a bad decision.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. It was a horrible decision. Horrible. One of the worst
he might have had
made.
the three rough seasons, but man, he is
they should
one
know
of the
better
top
than
DNs.
us. They should know better than us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, scouting is questionable right now. All right. Moving on to this game. I know I said at the beginning this should be an interesting one to watch. It really might not be, because if you look at the Giants, are 31st in points per game, 14.1. Saints aren't much better, but this is looking at the entire season, these points per game. What DeVito
14.1 points per game is.
That's not what Tommy. Look, Tommy DeVito has been lighting it up.
That's a tough number.
He's gone 3-1 as a starter with the Giants. It could change, but if you're just looking at their season stats, 14.1 points per game.
Jarring.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, we thought the beginning of the Saints-Panthers game was pretty tough. This might be worse than watching paint dry this weekend, unless Tommy DeVito lights it up. I just don't expect Derek Carr to light it up. Is there any, we're going to break down the matchups Friday as far as numbers, stats, how these two teams have lined up, but it could be pretty bad.
I want to see boring football because
why?
No, not really. But the one thing that
hell's wrong with you? Why would you say something like that?
The one thing I want to say, you
said
said Derek Carr light it up. I think the Saints
see it.
have run the ball very well for several weeks in a row, and I think they abandon it way too quickly. The Saints should have 30-plus carries in this game. They should have had 30-plus carries in a lot of their games recently. They're running the ball well. Like, I know we're talking about Chris Olave being injured, Rasheed Shaheed just coming back from injury. We don't know what, and Michael Thomas.
We don't know
is on
Taysom
IR.
Hill. What's going on?
Why isn't this team doing what the Falcons did against the Saints and being like, we're just going to run and win that battle? I think that I shouldn't say that's what I want to see. It's not exciting brand of football, but I think that's the Saints' best path to winning. And I don't know why they don't stick to the run more than they do, because I think that's been the most effective part of their offense in recent weeks. And I think that's the only way they win a game like this.
Yeah. Most teams impose their will running the ball, and that's usually how they get the win. How the Panthers did not beat the Saints, I mean, that's just says how bad their offense is.
Because they couldn't
over
complete
200.
a pass. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Bryce Young, my goodness, he needs some help in Carolina. But if the Saints put up over 200 rushing yards, do they beat the Giants?
Oh man, if they can get to 200, yeah, for sure. I mean, that means that they're leading and they're able to keep running the ball. So if you get 200, yeah, absolutely.
Well, the Panthers hit over 200.
Yeah, but
So I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's
how
all,
much
yeah.
better are the Saints?
yeah, but I mean, they couldn't throw the ball at all. Like they really didn't have
Yeah.
any choice. So like, the way the Saints play, if they get to 200, it's going to be because
All right.
like they have a lead and they're able to run the ball like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I just don't. I don't think that they can block consistently well enough to just do that. Like
Yeah.
at some point it's going to fall apart. Like I don't think that you can. I don't think they run block well enough to get there. Like there's moments and look, some of the I think some of the yards per carry stuff is a little bit misleading. Like you see like super effort plays by Alvin. That's kind of like him making some stuff happen. Taysom, like it's so far from like 17, man. Like when they were able to run the ball easily, like. So I do agree that I think they run better and they should be running more than they are. But like, I don't know if you're running the ball 35 times, if that's a winning, I don't know if they can hold up for 35 carries. Like the O-line is just like so like hit or miss and inconsistent. And I think that's like one of the bigger mysteries of this season because look, I'm not surprised. Like if Caesar's a little bit worse than we kind of thought, that doesn't shock me overall. Like I thought he kind of was up, like, way up. And then I thought that he kind of got, and I said it a few times last year, I thought he was a little bit overrated. Yeah. And I think we're kind of seeing that now. I'm not surprised at James Hurst, but like the level of inconsistency with it has shocked me. The level of disorganization with it has shocked me because they're supposed to be sound. The quarterback was supposed to come in and help shore that up a little bit. And I don't think we've seen that happen. So
you're right.
yeah, I mean like all that
Totally
stuff
fair.
with them. And then the run blocking has just been really inconsistent.
It could get better this weekend. Look, the Giants are 29th in rushing yards per game. So could be an opportunity, but do we believe the Saints are going to be the team that ends this Giants 3-game losing streak or win streak?
The one thing, I don't think either offense is going to light it up. I mean, the one thing I do believe in with the Saints more so when they had Marshawn, but I mean, credit Isaac Yadam, credit Alante Taylor. They had 8 pass breakups in this last game, even though Bryce Young was not throwing great, but when he got it anywhere near his receiver, they were breaking it up. I don't expect Tommy DeVito to win that matchup through the air. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think it's going to be two teams that are trying to run for 200 yards in this game.
Yep.
I don't think either quarterback is going to light this game up. But yeah, I think the Saints, that's a matchup they can take advantage of. I mean, the Giants are hot right now, but their 14.1 is there for a reason, and their record is a game worse than the Saints, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for a reason. So, but yeah, they're the hotter team right now.
Right.
This would be a pick 'em for me. Did I hear the line is up to 6?
It
Saints
might
by
be.
6?
I know it was at 5.
How? It feels like a pick 'em to me.
Yeah.
So if one team gets to 200 rushing, who's it going to be? Saints or the
Oh.
Giants?
I mean, probably the Giants. Saquon Barkley. I mean, just if you're going based on how the Saints have so poorly defended the run, you have to go Giants. I mean, you're crazy not to, right?
Yeah, look, I think if you get to 200, it means that like somebody's breaking a 40-yard run. If I have to pick a team to break a 40-yard run, it's probably going to be Saquon. I don't know if Alvin might have like one 40-yard run in his whole entire career. Like I don't think he has very many. So that would probably end up having to be Taysom. So yeah, I mean, look, I think if you get there, it's probably the Giants. It's probably Saquon getting the 40-yard run. And DeVito, like he ran for what, 75?
71?
Yeah. So I mean, I think they probably have the better chance of getting there.
Yeah, I'm looking at Alvin. I've just pulled up Alvin Kamara's just total rushing yards, and his best game was in week 5, and that was 80 total rushing yards.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but this last game was the first time all season he
Yeah.
didn't hit 70 from scrimmage, which he had been 70 from scrimmage every game all year long until this last game.
Okay,
Crazy.
I lied. So he had a longest 74 in 17, 49 and 18, 40, 49. But he hasn't had a run over 30 yards. He had one in 2021, and he hasn't had one since.
wow, that says a lot. All right, speaking about performance players, let's get to a draft question in our Martin's question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more. than just wine. All right, the question, what direction do you think the Saints go in this year's draft?
I think it depends where they're picking. If they lose this division and they're picking high enough, they absolutely have to consider quarterback. Absolutely. It's a hard position to force because you don't want to be trading up and getting the 4th or 5th best quarterback in this year's class who might not be worth it. But I mean, if they're on this current trajectory, they might have a top 10 pick, and then you're in the range, and there's some top 10 quarterbacks worth considering. If they end up in the teens, if they end up winning the division, the other position that is glaring to me is the offensive line. Unfortunately, even though they just made that big move for Trevor Penning, even though Cesar Ruiz was a first-round draft pick, I think you have to shore up that left side of the offensive line. I mean, Penning will still be here. You could re-sign Andrews Peter. You could re-sign James Hurst. But if you do that, they're temporary. I think you have to add a very high draft pick to the left side of that offensive line. I think the defensive line is also a screaming need, but that's going to be my number one need in free agency. I think the defense. I don't think they have time to wait to develop another young defensive lineman. I think that's where they need to spend money and get somebody who can help right away.
Yeah, the top 3 is definitely quarterback, left tackle, and DN for me.
Yeah, no, I'm same exact list. Yeah, I mean, how about just like drafting someone that's good in place? You know, let's start.
They need to replenish the talent base at all positions.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, look, let's look at some of the recent drafts. This year's draft, like it's too soon to grade any of these, but Brzee had a really good game this week. Foskey's a miss so far. Miller's a miss so far. Saldiveri's a miss so far. Hayner probably won't ever step on the field ever at any point in the Saints' career. Howden's a hit. A.T. Perry up in the air. Going back, Olave a hit. Penning bust. Alante Taylor. He's been, I'd call him a hit. He's starting, he's doing all right. DeMarco Jackson, fine for a 5th-round pick. Jordan Jackson, there's a miss. Peyton Turner, bust so far. Pete Werner, good. Paulson Adebo, good. Ian Book, bust. Landon Young, whatever, for a 6th-round pick. Quan Baker, already gone. 2020, Ruiz is a hit. Bonds, a miss. Troutman's a miss. Tommy Stevens might be the worst pick in Saints history. Eric McCoy hit. GJ was a hit. Saquon Hampton, miss. Elise Mack was a miss. Caden Ellis, that was a good pick that got away. 2018, Marcus Davenport, miss. Traquan Smith, miss. Rick Leonard, miss. Natrell Jamerson, miss. Cameron Moore, miss. Boston Scott, didn't give him a chance, so a miss. Will Clapp, miss. I mean, it has been bad since 17. It is bad.
Alizé, Mac.
Alizé, whatever.
Yeah, Rick Leonard was probably a worse pick even, too.
Yeah.
There were some candidates in there.
Yeah.
There's no question. I mean, there's no question that what you said about the talent on this team, I've been saying that for years, and not just that they didn't have the talent, but that I'm worried about the expiration date on the talent on this team. I mean, if we did our list earlier this year where we ranked our top 20 Saints, and that top 10 is full of players whose age is 30 and older,
and injuries,
and they replenished it with incredible draft class in 2017 plus the Mike Thomas pick in 2016. They haven't replenished that. I mean, anything else you want to do, you got to draft better. Anything else you want.
And I believe was Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore all in our top 10.
Oh yeah.
And they're both out with injury in back-to-back years. I mean, that's not something they can necessarily control, but it is something you have to look at.
Marshawn was everybody's number
term.
one.
Yeah. All right, let's go around the NFC South, starting with the Panthers. I just wrote bad, and we got a front row seat to just how bad things are over there in Carolina. 1-12. And Saints fans are going to love hearing this quote that their interim head coach, Chris Tabor, had to say after the loss. He said, "We need to figure out how to win. You have to keep chopping wood." The Saints' favorite thing that they love to hear. He said, "Keep chopping wood and keep going in order to break through. It's not going to magically happen for you." They lost a game with over 200 rushing yards. Like, that just alone is such an indictment. Yuck. All right, Falcons. They're 6-7. They are one of 3 teams tied for first place in the NFC South. They just lost to the Bucs 29-25, and they gave up a touchdown with 31 seconds left in the game. Falcons had it sealed, but Bucs came back and won that one. Arthur Smith said the Falcons' spirit is not broken. Time will tell on that one.
They just got to keep chopping wood.
Keep chopping wood. Yeah, that's the NFC South slogan in 2023. All right, the Bucs, they are also 6-7 and one of 3 teams that are atop the NFC South. Just got the win over the Falcons. The Bucs are now 160 plus favorites to win the NFC South this year. I mean, I think we're all
just beating the Falcons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, golly,
it's such a weird.
I mean, they were neck and neck with the Falcons last week. I think.
It's the first
neck and neck
time
with the
all
Falcons.
season that they have been NFC South favorites.
Yeah.
And Sunday marked the second go-ahead touchdown pass in the final minute of regulation this season for Baker Mayfield, the only quarterback with 2 such touchdowns this season. Prior to this year, Mayfield had 2 go-ahead passing touchdowns in the final minute in his first 5 seasons combined.
And winner gets to host the Eagles in the first round of the playoffs.
Good luck. The playoffs for any NFC South team right now is just screaming bad. All right, the Falcons
Eagles are struggling right now, though.
Yeah,
so.
they are struggling. All right, Falcons are at Panthers next, and the Bucks are at the Packers. Do we think the Bucks are beating the Green Bay Packers on the road?
No, but Packers were a little uglier than I thought they were going to be in that loss to the Giants. The Packers had got hot for a little while, but it's Saints, Giants, Packers, Buccaneers, Falcons. There are so many teams that I wouldn't bet $1 on from week to week. There are so many teams in the middle of this glut of. Is half the league 7-6 or 6-7 right now? I think, and consistency is a very hard commodity.
Yeah, the
to find.
Cowboys aren't though. So
Yeah,
they're doing
it's
good.
true. The Cowboys are
Yeah.
hot.
I think I got a question for you. Somebody just threw it into the. Somebody just threw this into the chat. I just want to.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Nick, are you missing New England?
No, God, no.
So-
God. Oh, no, I have not missed.
You know
I
where
have
I'm
never,
going.
I've
Somebody
never
asked-
missed New England.
So are the Saints getting Bill Belichick?
Oh, no,
Come on.
no.
Nick,
no.
I feel
might.
like you
Commanders
I
might.
feel like you missed those press
No,
conferences.
man. If Bill comes, no, I am not doing it. I am not doing it. No, that miserable bastard can keep his ass up there. I am not doing it. Absolutely not. But look, I've been scared of that because it's just like there are the ties there. It's Parcells.
really,
They
what
have
are the possibilities?
They look. If there was a change here, like the Saints probably they like the Parcells tree. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they tried. But oh my God, no, that would be the worst. That would be the worst. Oh man.
Next coach of the Commanders.
Mike, what do
That's
you
my
think?
prediction.
What do you think about Bill coming to New Orleans?
Look, no, Bill Belichick is probably the greatest coach in NFL history. But if the Saints do make a change, I think they need to be selling new, change, fresh.
You would think.
They need to be in on this. I don't care if it's a trend that's only worked for 1/4 of the league. They need to be on the hunt for the offensive whiz kid, innovative, next Sean McVay, next whatever. Bringing in Belichick feels like a move that is very similar to bringing in a different old, that's not what this team, somebody doesn't need somebody to keep the ship steering right. Like they need a breath of fresh air, and he doesn't scream greatest coach of all time, but he doesn't scream breath of fresh air,
Do we think a front office that is kind of the older, has been here a long time, is actually willing to bring in a fresh mind, though?
Sure.
I mean, when the front office has been the same for
I hope so. I hope so.
How long have the guys been in the front office? 20 plus years?
Yeah, I hope so. Look, there's reasons to ask that question though, for sure. Because the interview poll the last time, there wasn't a lot of fresh breaths of air. It was a lot of old guys with ties, and it there wasn't anyone on there that really kind of got you super excited. Aaron Glenn was kind of an innovative thought, but he was already here. So
some people liked the name Eric Bieniemy when he was here too, interviewing.
Yeah, but there wasn't a lot of let's go find the young up and comer, which I kind of feel was what led them to Sean Payton last time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no, I think there's reasons to be worried about how that process would go.
We know
sure.
that their process the last time was they did not think they needed a culture change. They were not replacing a fired coach. They were replacing a coach who had built something successful, and they did not believe they needed a culture change. If they fired Dennis Allen 2 years into his job, it will be with the mindset of we've decided we need a culture change, I think.
We'll see what happens.
No Bill.
No Bill. Just triggered Nick a little bit.
Please no. Please no. I would no. I'd rather take it 6 punches from Draymond than go through that.
Oh,
no.
One of the windmill punches or direct? The one we saw the other day where
any of them. I don't care. He could I just don't want to do it. I'm telling you, it is a terrible experience. It is terrible. No.
Well, how many weeks we have left? 4 weeks left? 3 weeks left.
No, 4.
4 weeks left. 4 weeks left. We'll see what happens. We don't believe something is going to happen in season at this point. I think all three of us have continued to say that and been consistent on that at least at this point.
I think losing to
on the show.
Carolina would have maybe forced a a change in philosophy, but I don't know if an in-season loss would do that at this point.
No, I don't think so either. Well, we will have our matchup show coming up on Friday. We will be back out at practice tomorrow, and we'll have live updates on NewOrleans.Football. Be sure to tune in, and we'll see you guys Friday.